Going live. Family, I want to say greetings to all of you and giving y'all the opportunity to like and share the video before I introduce my very special guest this afternoon. I don't know where y'all are in the world, but I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, finally, which after it seems like forever. And it's such a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And the weather's sweet too. As my big brother Wanik would say, it's a beautiful day and the weather's nice. And so we're here to celebrate life as we know it. And so while we're straightening out this Instagram, feed, just asking y'all to like and share the video, and so we can let the family know about what's going on. And what's going on is not just revolution time, you know, sometimes you hear that rhetoric and it's real, but it's even more importantly, evolution time. So what we're here to do is to highlight our family members out here who are helping to nurture that evolution. And our brother that is going to be in the studio with us this afternoon, he's one of those people. So we're truly grateful for the opportunity to dwell with him in this time, you know. So like and share the video. Like and share the video. Let the family know we're on. Of course, this video will live in your timeline indefinitely. And it will also, we're actually recording this for the radio. So you'll also have an opportunity to see it or listen to us live on the radio on WRFG 89.3 on the FM dial. All right. So just like and share the video, man. Because King Simon says that the numbers don't lie. And you might have heard about Simon, but you might not have heard about King Simon. So if Simon says, and we just grew up knowing that whatever Simon says is the truth, I can tell you what King Simon says is the gospel, right? So we want to dive into that and see what exactly it is that King Simon is talking about. The numbers don't lie. What does that mean in practical terms? One of the things I really appreciate love about the brother that we're getting ready to talk with is that he is really on a mission to demystify this journey, to demystify, you know what I mean, the what is often known as the spiritual walk and all that kind of stuff. Demystify it. Demystify knowledge of self. That's a very important thing. That's a great contribution, and it's not because there's anything wrong with mysticism per se, but it's just, you know, because of how we have been trained in this world, because of how we have been we've been domesticated in many ways. You know, a lot of times we have to end up throwing out the baby with the bathwater, or we choose to do that, or whatever it is. So today we're going to have a very practical conversation about the nuts and bolts, about some of the building blocks of the universe. And one of those great building blocks is mathematics. So without any further ado, I want to welcome to the WRFG. I want to welcome our brother to our Facebook and Instagram streams and all of that. Our brother King Simon. King Simon is an author. King Simon is a soul brother. He reminded me. I'm only getting to know him within the past few years. We recently met. I think the time we met first was at the Return of the Gods banquet. But I'm realizing after making myself, availing myself of some of his services that I'm sure we'll get into today, that we have a very similar journey, and I really appreciate love the fact that one of the things about this brother, as he comes out of a Caribbean background, and they used to clown in the 80s. Now the Caribbean, of course, the Caribbean lifestyle and the Caribbean heritage is something that is celebrated naturally. But, it wasn't always that popular. We just put it that way. A lot of sisters and brothers had to come and put in the work, and show and study and show themselves approved, you know what I mean? And there's something about the spirit of resilience. There's something about that whole energy of resilience that is a beautiful thing. And I think that it goes without saying that comes with a lot of power. It comes with a lot of grace, and it comes ultimately for the benefit of the people, which is why we're here today with a lot of light, something that we can look at an example and be inspired by. So the brother is an author, a father, and he has so many other crowns that he wears. Maybe we'll get into a little bit of that in the short time we have with him. But without any further ado, I want to welcome him to WRFG Atlanta, 89.3 on the FM dial, and all these various platforms where you'll see this. Our brother King Simon. King Simon, give thanks, man. Give thanks for blessing us with your presence.
Give thanks. I hope everything is well. Thank you very much for welcoming me. I've been here before on this station before, and I was introduced to this station years ago by someone we know and dearly know and connected with, Karen Mason. May she rest in peace. And KT, the Arch Degree, also introduced me, but Karen was the one that spoke about it to me years ago when I was in New York about making a connection to that place because I was on WWRL radio, New York City at that time, and working between a lot of shows and events. So, I know she had wanted me to, I think I came to Atlanta to do something. I'd moved into Atlanta in 99, and for like a month, I only stayed, and then I went back to New York because I was trying to get a radio job, and I realized, that's public radio, so I wasn't able to get what I wanted, so it wouldn't make sense for me to stay. But as soon as I went back to New York, I landed a major radio role, got a morning show and everything. So it was meant for me to go back and reassess what I was doing to come back here again to do what I'm doing today. So yeah, may her soul rest in eternal peace. That beautiful sister that I've worked with in New York back in the day.
Yeah, man. Long live Dada Karen. Karen Marie. She used to have it's me, it's Karen Marie. That's how I call you sometimes. You know what I mean? With the lyrics from the stop, and always about that business.
Yeah.
As I said, man, I'm an admirer of yours. I admire your work, and that's the reason why I've availed myself of your services. And in terms of your numerology, as I was saying in the intro, one of the things that really strikes me is that you make it a point to say, brother, there's nothing mystical about what we're getting ready to discuss here.
Right.
The numbers don't lie. And I want to ask you, as a means of introduction, why is it that you have felt motivated to make that as part of your disclaimer, if you will, when you're talking to folks that you're working with?
Because my elders, like John Henry Clark, Dr. John Henry Clark, who I had the pleasure of not only learning from, but meeting officially in Harlem years ago, in a book that he actually did the introduction for, he spoke about it. The book is called Africa Counts. This is the book I'm showing now. It's called Africa Counts. Mm-hmm. And this was written by a Claudia Zaslavsky, but he did the intro. He found it fit to do it for this European woman because whatever she brought to the table, she went into the numbers and patterns in African culture. What I do probably a little different than a lot of numerologists, other than one of my teachers, Lloyd Strayhorns, and that understood that he was not. And I remember him saying that at a lecture, that numerology is not psychic. It's about paying attention to patterns, cycles, and sequences, to the point that it is so accurate when it comes to paying attention to patterns, cycles, and sequences that you might think it is a psychic thing, but really it can pay attention to the past, present, and where you're going in the future from the patterns, cycles, and sequences. Because when you know, it's just like when we always used to say that you might have generational proclivities, or what they call curses. It's because of patterns, cycles, and sequences that you keep on allowing to come back into your life. So if those things exist from what we have seen over the years, for thousands of years, then we need to learn to recognize the patterns, cycles, and sequences, and learn to not just spiral in a linear form, but learn to spiral up out of it instead of spiral down or be complacent in it. So, and that's why in my book, Numerologist for Mental Stability, I talk about the 4 paths: the path of constructive, obstructive, destructive, and complacence. And we always used to say back in the day that comfort is the enemy of progress. So if that's the case, I like what Bob Proctor said, who was born July the 5th, the late Bob Proctor, born July the 5th, 1934. He said his grandmother always used to say, be grateful for what you have. And most of our grandparents always used to say that too, in the Caribbean and throughout the down south and all. Be grateful for what you have. And then he had to say, no, Grandma, I should be, no, she used to say, she used to say, be satisfied for what you have. And he would turn it around and say, Grandma, no, I should be grateful for what I have, but never satisfied. Be grateful, because it's the dissatisfaction that brought the Moors to teach the Europeans or Spain how to cultivate, how to navigate, how to create toilet systems, how to have lighting systems. And then from fire, we're into incandescent light from Lewis Latimer and what Thomas Edison did, and so, and from bugs, and from walking to trucks to horse and buggy and to mules, now we're flying. Now we got boats. So it's dissatisfaction that makes us want to grow. And that's where I'm coming from when I deal with numerovation and not just numerology, because numerology means the study of numbers. And anything that you apply numbers to from different perspective is the study of numbers. It's just what it is. Study of numbers. That's all it means. So if I'm studying biology, then we know what that's the study of. Zoology is the study. Plantology is the study of all aspects of plants. So when you deal with numerology, you're dealing with numeral and ology, the study of numbers. So if you're dealing with analytics, if you're dealing with numbers in the background of your clock, numbers with your watch, all of that is dealing with the study of numbers at different aspects and different levels.
I see.
That's why I chose to do that.
Yeah, thank you for making it plain, because it means it's from the beginning, as you just said. It's motivational.
Yes.
You didn't use that word, but it's motivational, and what it reminds me of is the principle of, if you give one a fish, they eat for a day, but you teach them how to fish, they eat forever. So this is about empowering us.
Right.
So right. I want to start at the beginning, King Simon. We have relatively little time, but still,
right.
I want to ask you, when you first, if you can recall, when you first paid attention to numbers.
Of course, I can recall that. That goes back into my childhood, when my grandmother, born in Cuba, raised in Jamaica. They call themselves Afro-Cuban Jamaicans, actually. So they definitely acknowledged the Africa side of them, because we was connected to the Maroons also on both sides of my family in Jamaica. But those was definitive. And my grandmother, when she came to America, she was a midwife and a nurse throughout Brooklyn back in the early 60s, late 70s, until her retirement in the 80s. And my grandmother used to always have, if you remember, those big boxes of cards, to send birthday cards and Christmas gift on Christmas card to Jamaica, to this place, to that. So she always remembered everybody's birthday. And I used to say, Grandma, why you have this big box? And she used to say, this is to, give people, and always remember and give people their birthday card with money in it, because she's always sending money, because she was a well-established nurse that had it, and she took care of her family that way and got a lot of the family to move from Jamaica to here, or Cuba to here. So I used to always recognize that. She sent us to the mailbox to drop it in the mail at a certain time, and it always got there on time for that person's birthday. And the person will always call her up and say, yes, Lillian, I have your card. I did receive the card. But she being the master number that after I studied, and rather she being the master number that she was resonating with and connected to, that master number 22, and also being born June the 22nd, that master number 22 again, and being connected to that cancer cusp there. Cancer is much like a family. They love family, and that's why she was always sending out. So I recognized it from then, but it was in the age of 14 when I went into the 5% nation. And we was talking about mathematics and who was the original man, and all of that kind of unlocked a lot of brain, because the 5% nation of God, the earth, which stems from the nation of Islam at that time. Those were the lessons, the supreme mathematics that I received at a young age that really changed my DNA and my RNA to say, you know what? There's something about this mathematics. And it was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that said in those lessons that mathematics is Islam and Islam is mathematics. It could always stand true. That and it's here to secure good homes, friendships, and money in all walks of life. Not some walks of life, not just black walk of life. He said all walks of life.
Yes, sir.
So I understood the use of mathematics. So Islam is a way of life.
Yes, sir.
So he's saying mathematics is life, and life is mathematics. That's what he's saying.
Yes, sir.
And mathematically, he did an enormous work with or without Malcolm X and whoever people like to say and put the separation. But Malcolm also understood the mathematics because that's what he was teaching back in those days. Also, that's why he and so. As I was moving forward through the 5%, I joined the Ansarul Allah community, where Imam Isa at that time was because I left the 5% because they was more into the parties and smoking and drinking, and I just wanted to maintain a discipline. So I went into the Ansar, which also captivated a lot of us young people at my age of 16, 17, because I started in 5% at 14. But by the time that 16, 17 came in, I left my mother's house because I couldn't stay there. I just was going through a lot of stuff at that particular time. And once I realized and go back to it, I realized that every year was a certain cycle that I was going through. So when I went into the Ansar Allah community, which most of y'all people might know today as Nuwapian Nation, he taught us abjad from the Muslim perspective, and he taught us, he touched on Hebrew and Kabbalah because we had the Nubian Islamic Hebrews back in the day. So I was there from 84 to 88. I officially moved in 85, but I got the knowledge from 84. And then I moved to Jamaica for to get my head straight for 6 months. And as soon as I was 18 years of age, I moved right into the community. Then when I left that community in 1988, going into 89, on my birthday in 1989, I was listening to Imhotep Gary Bird on WBLS.
Night Talk.
And yes. And then he had that afternoon talk too. Night talk was Bob Law on WWR.
Okay. I'm mixing it up.
Night talk was because I used to work for Bob Law on WWR, but on LIB BLS, that was the GBE, the Global Black Experience. That was Imhotep. So who was on his show at that time that gave me the catalyst to move? Brother Lloyd Strayhorn was on that show, Baba Lloyd Strayhorn. And when I called in on my birthday, February 1st, 1989, I got through and Lloyd read my name and my numbers like a book. And that's what convinced me that I need to go into this system. Mm-hmm. And I never was really a formal student, like going to one of his classes. I always studied from afar and studied other books and studied different things and then incorporate what I was doing and what I learned from the 5% to the nation to all of this. And then when in 1990, I joined the Nation of Islam because I was still reminiscing from the 5%, but this time going into the official doctrine of the supreme wisdom that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us. At that time, Khalid Muhammad was over the temple and Conrad Muhammad was there and Kevin Muhammad, Abdul Hafiz, all of them was there at temple number 7. And I went in at 1990 as a reggae artist because I was also singing reggae. Mm-hmm. And I became number 5 on the reggae chart in 1990 and opened up for Shabba Ranks and Public Enemy and a whole bunch of people as a reggae artist, conscious reggae artist, coming with my song Black and White Sword. Everything was in alignment with the patterns, cycles, and sequences as I look back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now that's why I always tell you, if you remember the session, I said, numbers don't care if you believe in them or not. They
Right.
work behind the scenes. They don't care. I can put the number 1 on this thing. It don't care what you think about number 1.
Right.
But in human anatomy and human philosophy, everybody wants to be number 1. That's why we run in races. That's why we this. That's why we do competition. They want to be number 1. You know what I'm saying? So it stands alone. That's why that song was written. 1 is the loneliest number that I ever knew. That's the song, because it is. It's like when you number 1, and that's where the fight comes in. Everybody wants to be number 1. So,
That's true.
But and that's where it all stemmed for till 1989, 1990, when I started officially. And then when Lloyd seen that I was so good, he said, Simon, you need to write a book. I wrote my first book in 2012, actually. I was still doing the numbers and doing my club and party and still doing the conscious stuff. And then I wrote my first book, which is No Promotion is Bad Promotion, because after I left the club life, that's when I said, let me write about the club life and still make money from it, with all the pictures and all the glory that I had in that life, working with the Dennis Brown, the Gregory Isaac, the Culture, and all the people that I worked with, Marshall Montano, Allison Hines, everybody that I've worked with. You know what I'm saying? I put it in that book to show people my life in promotion and to motivate people to always learn that no promotion is bad promotion. And all publicity is good publicity. Just spell my name right. That's the name of the book. And that quote was coined by the late, great Frankie Crocker. No promotion is bad promotion. Just spell my name right. And then I just did a revise for it. But yeah, that's basically that's where it all started. I gave you a lot.
No. That's that we give thanks for a lot. You know, we just had a conversation earlier with a sister who's a chef, Chef B. And we like to eat food, you know. So what you're giving us is conscious food, because, as I would say in my own way, you know, I feel like we are all naturally reflections of each other, but even beyond, to go on another level, there's something that everyone can see, as King Simon tells his story, that might spark something within them. Yes. Just as you saw the great elder Baba Lloyd Strayhorn, or you saw the great Jegna, Nana John Henry Clark, or you saw Imam Isa and all these people, and they lit a spark in you.
Yes, they did.
To do, and the thing about leadership, you know, as I'm sure you can bear witness, I think it was the author Ayi Kwe Ama that said it the best. You know, that a true leader, if he or she is doing his job correctly, when you look around, they're not finding a bunch of followers, but other people who are ready to lead as well.
Exactly.
You know, so that's what I get from the sessions. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, let me tell you, brother, this is what it is.
That's right.
Take it or leave it, you know what I mean? But it's good if you could take it, you know.
Yeah. If you could use it, I tell people, look, if you use it, it will help you, just like a GPS.
True.
But some of us know our way to use the GPS because they want confirmation.
Right.
That's all. It's just confirmation.
That's what it is.
It's all it is.
We were talking to great King Simon, author, as you can see, a motivational speaker, you know, a griot, you know, because he carries the story of our people with him, and he translates it in his way, in the way that he's been inspired to, and many other things. You know what I mean? We just gonna stick to that for now. Let's talk about these numbers. Let's get a little bit deeper into the numbers, King Simon. I shared with you privately that we've had a similar journey, because when I was in Southern California in the 80s, in my teenage years, we was into the hip hop, into the golden age, and of course the 5% Nation was very, very big. Some of them same books, Imam Isa, you know, 360 questions to ask, this one and that one and the third, you know. But the book about the 5% really stuck with me.
Yeah, it did. Right.
You know, and then so this is resonating, and this, then you're hearing Poor Righteous Teachers and King Son and Lakim Shabazz and all these people spitting this knowledge, and you're hearing some of the rhetoric, and then of course, again, what is from me, it resonated with me, and then I just followed it, you know. So now I start looking at the world through numbers. This becomes one of the languages that the Creator speak to me with. So I'm at a stoplight, and I'm looking at the license plate in front of me. I'm looking at. I'm seeing numbers, and this is giving me guidance on which something I might be ruminating on. You know.
Right.
So I want to ask you, just for fundamentals. Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about the universal alphabet.
Yeah.
Not alphabet, sorry, the universal math. The alphabet is there as well, but
Supreme
universal
mathematics. Supreme mathematics, right.
the supreme mathematics.
Yeah.
Help us to understand from 0 to 9 what that's all about, just for babies.
Well, if you definitely go into the lessons of the, and I have it in my book, Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. I do have it in my book, my first numerology book that I ever read. I made sure I wrote the basics of it, where 1 represents knowledge, 2 represents wisdom, 3 understanding, 4 culture and freedom, 5 power and refinement, 6 equality, 7 is God. Of course, 8 build and destroy, 9 born, and of course 0 being knowledge.
But hold up, King Simon. I gotta interrupt you like the dance hall and howl and pull that one there, cause you just bust a big talk there. Numbers are simple, but people are complicated. That's a big talk, King Simon.
That's my first numerology book, and Lloyd always said he wished he had this title because after all the years that he's been doing, that's what he realized too. And it's the truth. And no, so funny. It was supposed to be Numbers Are Simple, but I fell asleep on it, and I said, and then when I woke up, and then I said, People Are Complicated, and that was the name of the title. Sometimes you got to go back into the dark side of your sleep and into the womb energy of that nighttime sleep in the astral realm, and then it pulls out. That's where most of my titles come from, if not all of them. It comes from that mindset. But the 5%, if I'm talking to somebody of the 5%, I tell them how to use their own numerology per se, because it is supreme mathematics. That was a daily mathematics. And, when you deal with today being the number 7, this is they've God, and then they'll add on and break it down and all that kind of stuff. But also the number 7, if you start digging further from what we was taught in the supreme mathematics, it goes back to deep research. It has been connected to God even in religious circles because God rested on the 7th day. That's why most people accept the number 7 as their favorite number, especially if you're in a religious family. Because they recognize, wait a minute, God got to rest. He created the earth in 6 days, but 7th day he rests. Some people acknowledge the 7 this, the 7 that, the 7 things in Revelation, all kinds of stuff. They go through all of it, and all of it is valid. It's just what perspective are you going to use it that's going to make you better? That's what I want people to do. I'm not here to pontificate and just break down stuff so it can be deep. How is it going to help you if you know that in the 5% word, the number 7 is God, or the number 8 is build and destroy? So if we're in a 2024 and it equals an 8, what is it telling you that you need to be able to do? Either you're going to build or destroy. It's up to you. It's in your hands. That's what the 8 year is telling you then. Because as much as people like to say, hey, that's the infinity symbol. And I always clarify it. I said, first of all, Dr. John Wallace, that invented or reintroduced the infinity symbol in 1655, it's similar to the number 8, but the infinity symbol is not the number 8. It just, he got the ideal from the number 8 to call it the infinity symbol, to show the infinite amount of vibrations and numbers or symbol. And matter of fact, I looked it up again to show people. And when I looked up that same thing about John, that same thing, I made sure I did a screenshot of it. And this is what it says, right, about that infinity symbol, right? This is what he says, which is so funny because that's exactly how I was saying about it. It says, I just had it right. Oh, I just put it right here. I'm sorry. I made sure I copied it and pasted. It says, what is the meaning of the infinity symbol? Infinity, the concept of something that is unlimited, endless, without bounds. The common symbol for infinity, that symbol, of course, that looked like the 8 on the side, like it's laying down on the side, was invented by the English mathematician John Wallace in 1655. 3 main types of infinity may be distinguished: the mathematical and the physical and the metaphysical. So this is in your, when you Google it up, that's where you find now. And it was invented in 1665. If you add up 1655, that adds up to 17, which equals an 8. So it's taking you right back to the 8 symbol again. It's taking you right back to the 8 symbol again of build and destroy, the erected infinity symbol. So that's why I tell people I do numerovation and not just numerology, where numerovation deals with numbers, but yet the motivation of the numbers. That's why vation is at the back of numero. Numero is Latin for numbers. Vation has come from motivation. And so whatever I'm motivated with, like knowledge like this, I add it to what I'm doing. So to show you that the numbers are working in tandem with each other. It's not coincidence that the 8 is that the infinity symbol is similar to the number 8, and yet this guy found it in 1655, the as up to 17, which is the 8. It's not coincidence. Coincidence, like they taught us back in the day, is 2 incidents happening. How could that be?
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, when we start being critical thinkers, spiritually as well as physically and metaphysically, then things will start to connect, because even the maverick scientist himself, Nikola Tesla,
yes,
he said, I'm paraphrasing because the exact quote is away from me right now, but he says, when the scientific world recognized its connection with the metaphysics or the spiritual realm, that's when they would advance even more. I'm paraphrasing. I do have the quote. I'd have to go dig it up, but I have the quote somewhere. But that's what basically he was saying, that you have to, the spiritual has to mesh with the physical in order for us to and what our dear sister said on Brother Rich's show, Sister Myra Moss, she says, when the logic or the intellect ends, that's where the intuition goes.
Yes.
Sometimes most of those scientists had to go and sleep. The George Washington Carvers, the Nikola Tesla, when they couldn't find the experiment, sometimes they had to do something else, or they had to go and sleep, and then they get the ideal, and that ideal to turn out to be something profound. And most of us do that all the time. Most of us do that. Some music, you might be writing a song, and I used to be a songwriter and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, you get caught up in the bridge. You don't know what to sing in that moment. And then, boom, you're going to rest and go eat something over. And then your mind just said, oh, that's what I got to put in that bridge right there. That's where it is. That's what I learned over years.
No, real talk. Real talk.
Real
talk.
You know what
we're talking to Brother King Simon family, and I see people in the chat.
Hey, what's up, people?
Greeting you from the old Ansar community. Big up yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullah. Yeah, I used to make the whole wheat pizza too. I used to make the whole wheat pizza at the Ansar back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the whole wheat pizza at the restaurant. Yeah.
Give thanks.
One of them.
So again, with the numbers.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
I want to just, for many reasons, just ask you to elaborate a little bit on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because we use kind of the science that he presented. It's not science that he created, but a science that he presented to the world as an example, as a backdrop for this conversation. Just that's how we intuitively came into it. Right. And there's some people in this time that will still say, well, he was so simple, and it was not a sophisticated science that he presented. And I want to ask you to really address that. Now you got people with big books and big titles behind their name that would say, well, this is what numerology is all about. This is the science. That was something that was some kind of like some root doctor kind of thing. How would King Simon address that whole concept?
With the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and because he was born October the 7th, he was a deep thinker, a deep researcher. And when he said something, he meant it. That's why you didn't see him. And he used to say, many of his ministers and people may have a more eloquent speech than he has. Of course, according to the history, he only had a 3rd grade education and all that kind of stuff. That's the whole history. I got the whole history back in the day. And when he met Master Farad Muhammad and W.D. Muhammad, he met him at a certain time of his life. And that's what opened his eyes. And whether he studied some of Marcus Garvey, has studied some of Noble Drew Ali, at the end of the day, he was able to personify what he called the Nation of Islam at that time and served this greater purpose. So when people if people don't really delve deep into even the mathematics of Elijah Muhammad, just to his birthday, because he's born on the 7th, that is the deep researching number. That is the insightful number. And then his alignment number, when you add the 10 plus the 7, that when you add that 10 plus the 7, that equals 17, which is an old soul energy. Somebody who's supposed to leave a legacy. So he does something, he's doing something that's very extraordinary for a man of his time, especially coming out of the Noble Drew Ali era, the Marcus Garvey era, the Dos Muhammad era, those people that helped set the barriers, the Booker T. Washington era. He was one that was able to kind of take it to another level, which you're supposed to do. And he respected every one of them that came before him. However, people got to realize that when you study the history of Elijah Muhammad, he's a very mystical person. And sometimes, you know, people don't like that word mystical because it has up with mystery and all that kind of stuff. Right. But, you know, mystical meaning that he understood the importance of revealing the mysteries of God within us. That's why he said, who is the original man? That's the lesson. That was the question that was asked him of Master Fard Muhammad. And then he answered the question because of his studies and teaching. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. And that is what will help stimulate man and woman that are original people to be better. Because if you're God of the universe, through his teachings and understanding what that meant to a black boy like me who almost took his life at 8 years old because I was dark because of my complexion. But when I got that lesson at 13, 14 years of age, I was like, oh, really? And then I started doing the research because he always said study from the cradle to the grave. There it is. Now you start seeing what Dr. Ben meant and what John Henry Clark meant and what Ivan Van Sertima meant and what from Guyana himself and what Francis Cress-Wells and what all of these other. It just added on to what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us in such a simple, profound way. That was it. It's just to grow into it. Then Dr. York and Imam Isa came with his community and just took us, and the 5% kept on doing what he had to do when he left the community, when Clarence 13X, Father Allah left the community. There was nothing wrong with him doing. Was there jealousy? Was there angry? Was there problems? Of course there was, because everybody wants you to keep under the same banner, but some people are meant to go free to do their thing. And being that Clarence was born February 22nd as a master number, yes, he's going to step out as a master. Malcolm X eventually stepped out as a number 19 because the number 19 energy needs to be in his own force and his own leadership. He learned what he had yourself. Yes. Yeah, he learned what he had to learn already. Yeah. But he did not. If he was so angry with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, why did he keep the name Shabazz? That's the name that Elijah gave him. If you're that angry, why not get rid of that name and get rid of Malik Shabazz and go create your own name? He still loved that man and his teachings.
Yeah, naturally. And you know, for full disclosure, the reason I asked you, I really appreciate your answer. Yes, and I know you could go deeper into that.
I mean, I'm just
because the psychology of it. It's you answered. You even revealed the reason why I asked that, because you know a lot of times, to put it on a global level, they would say the white man's ice is colder, you know? That's part of the psychology that has plagued us. We're always looking outside of ourselves, whether it's from another race or from something that is outside of what we have. And what, again, I must reemphasize what I appreciate about how you bring the knowledge is that it's empowering. It's something to say, okay, well, look, man, you got tools. You have tools that you were born with that are all around you. So, you know, there's an old proverb that say, if your only tool is a hammer, you treat every problem like a nail.
Exactly.
If you know you got a screwdriver, you know you got a drill, you know you got a hacksaw, you know you got a cutlass, all these things, then you're going to walk the earth with a different type of swag.
Exactly.
You're going to walk the earth with a different type of swag. Well, you know, King Simon, I want to use an example of some numerology for you to drive home the point, you know. And this is not, to be honest, this is not for any of the naysayers out there. This is just for the family out there. There's people who are curious, who are listening to this, and something you are saying resonates with them. Right. That's what we're focusing on. I can use myself as an example, or we can use somebody else. But, you know,
It's up to you. I mean, you know, you want to get personal with it. That's up to you. I'm saying if you can find somebody else, hey, let's do it. I mean, but
Let's look at. Okay, we just had the birthday of Bob Marley yesterday. I don't mind getting personal, but let's look at Bob Marley and
yes.
belated happy birthday to you as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You shared a birthday with the great Dennis Brown and Langston Hughes and some heavy hitters. And I know now, you know, they say, yeah, man, we share a birthday with King Simon, you know. So that's what it is, you know, because every generation supposed to take it further, that our sisters and brothers will be happy, and our elders will be pleased with their progeny. But Bob Marley.
Yes.
Bob Marley.
Yes.
Born February the 6th, I believe, 1945.
That's right.
If you look at his numbers, break it down to us why it would be no surprise to King Simon that Bob Marley left the imprint that he did on the world, please.
That's an interesting outlook. So let's look at it. I could go to my board. If you're dealing with Bob being born 2/6/1945, and can you see that board? You can see?
Yes, I can see.
Good. Can you see? Because it's a little. I had to clean it up the other day. So
no problem.
when you add the 2 plus the 6 plus the 1945, you get 1953. When you add it across, that 1 plus 9 and plus, which is so interesting, adds up to when you add that number across, 1 plus 9 plus 5 plus 3 equals the number 18, which is a 9. 9 is his life path. That would be considered his life path that followed him throughout his life. But 9 is the number of humanitarian and service. 6 is also the number of humanitarian love and service also, because that's why he sang love for his people and bringing balance and love, especially because he was born from white and black. He always brought that love and that balance. And 9 is the number of being international. So, and eventually throughout his lifetime, he's going to becomes international in his lifetime. So it's interesting that Bob prophesied and said, "They might go tired, fixing me face.
Can't get me out.
Can't get me out of the race." I used to play drums. Forgive me. So that is what he did. He showed you. Then he said one of the songs. He said, "Bubbling on the R&B, just for the people to see. We're bubbling on the top 100, just like a mighty dream." International again. Showing you his international status and wave throughout his life of what he loved to do, because that's the love frequency.
Sure.
Music. And then his alignment number or pinnacle number is at 8. He was an old soul. And he brought balance to Peter and Bunny. That's why when I read Courtney, and interviewed Copeland Forbes' book, who was one of the tour managers with them, he said Bob was a strategic guy that didn't want no confrontation. So when Bunny and Peter were doing their thing, he just stepped aside and did his thing. He studied and looked as an old soul energy. He recognized the mission further, and he recognized that was international. He didn't have to believe in this. The numbers work behind the scenes, whether you believe it or not. He didn't have to believe in none of this. I don't require him to believe in it. I don't care. Personally, I see it. You know what I'm saying? And I understood, even to the point of his death, what cycle he was in. Because he died May 11th, 1981. And then May is one of his challenge months. So people don't realize that the number 1 is one of his challenge number. That's 11. That's number 1. That's 2 number 1. Number 11 is one of his challenge numbers. How coincidental can that be that he'll die on his challenge month and his challenge numbers? I can't make it up no more.
Good. Talk about it.
So I'm just showing you with the late, great Bob Marley. And this year, he would be in a number 7 personal year, personally for him. That's why things are being revealed, and it's going to be revealed through movies. Things are being revealed through what money he might owe. It's going to be a whole lot more stuff coming out after this movie. You know what I'm saying? Because I already talked to a friend of mine who was very close to the family. That because when I used to work with the Marley family too. I was one of the team members and the MCs that brought them to Irving Plaza and SOBs. I know Damian Marley before he ever had locks.
Mm-hmm.
Back at SOBs in Manhattan. I have the pictures in my book. I got receipts. I'm just letting you know, I know. So I can see where all of this is coming along, but he prophesied of his international status as the ambassadors. And I remember I was just watching a dear friend who I used to work with, Muta Baruka, on that other show. I think it's called I Know What It Is or something like this. But he said something about how Rastas was treated back in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I remember when I tried to become Rasta as a child and as a 14, 15-year-old as I was getting into the knowledge of 5% and all that, and then realizing when she moved over to Flatbush Avenue, I started connecting with my Caribbean side. Mm-hmm. My mother threw me out the house.
Oh, you mean quick fast?
Because my mother grew up in a highfalutin Jamaican family that had nurses and doctors and police officers. So they already had a misconception about the Rastas them, because most Rastas that they seen were picky head dreads just on the street. I smoked ganja. That was it.
Dirty head dread.
That's what they called us back in.
So
I got thrown out of the house for one night, and then I just couldn't find. I said, I couldn't handle outside by myself in the park by myself with a stick and a Bible in my hand. I had a stick and a Bible, a staff and a Bible. I sing Dennis Brown and I sing this son. Manure. I still got my other staff. I still have those, but I'm just telling you what I went through, and I just cut my hair. Am I growing my hair back? Yeah, I'm growing my hair back. I might not lock it, but I'm growing because I see a lot of the people that have locks now, they're balding and receding. I ain't got no time for that. Freddie McGregor, who's a friend of mine, I see his hair going back and back. I'm like, nah, I can't do that. That's not me. But I can grow my hair out because, like Morgan Heritage says, you don't have to dread to be Rasta. I don't have to dread to be Rasta. It's in your heart.
I will.
So I'm still part of that Rasta movement. I'm still part of that 5% movement. Because that's what I loved about Dr. Khalid. Dr. Khalid said, we are all of it. We're the original people. We're all of them.
Don't talk about Dr. Khalid, because I know you got to go. I'm going to hold you hostage, brother.
That's my brother, man.
When he would come, and even the way he would introduce his lesson and greet everyone in their language, and he wasn't just jiving. This is something. This is sincerity. That's the Renaissance man, and that's when I think of you. When I think of some of what I know about you, just
my brother, man.
With the energy, it's that same way. I think of Dr. Clark when he spoke of Paul Robeson. He said, "Well, you look at Paul Robeson, of course, Imhotep makes sense."
Exactly.
And the gene pool don't lie. So even though, as you say, the numbers is not mysticism, and I understand why you say that, it's. For me, mysticism, we want to use that word, I as a mystic man, I'm a spirit man.
Exactly.
And I know that metaphysical got physical in it,
Exactly. Metaphysical it be beyond physical. That's all it means.
And that's the point. The point is not to be so far up in the, our good sister Sonny Patterson said, she always repeats to me that one of her elders say, don't be so heaven bound that earthly good.
That's the truth.
That's what I feel. That's what I feel like King Simon is saying. You know what I mean?
That is true.
Don't be so balance. Bring the balance.
That's what my art is all about. Bringing the balance.
Bring the balance.
If you're not balanced, it don't make sense. You could be all out there and then doing nothing because doing something physically is spirituality, and especially if you're doing something that is meaningful. Having money and finance is spirituality, because money just means currency. It's an energy.
Naturally.
Spirit is just another word for energy that resides within us. So if we start to demystify to a certain extent, or understand everything has its place, that's when you're going to get it right. That's where you find the balance. That's why scientists were able to invent I'm trying to tell you, I'm reading the inventions of Nikola Tesla now. I'm reading the biography of Nikola Tesla also, because I have to go there so I know what to bring to people that want to mystify everything, when this guy would be a living mystic himself, because he was able to transmute what he got from the astral realm and make it to what we need: free energy, free lighting, free this. They had to take him out.
Yeah. Make it practical. He made
in
it
the
very
New York
tangible.
hotel. Yes, to make it practical.
Yeah, he made it tangible. Like one of my brethren, them Junior Man, and he's now with the Egungun. He's with the ancestors now. He used to say, touchable.
Touchable. Make it touchable.
Touchable, man. Touchable.
And that's what numbers came to do. It makes you, although you will never understand the infinite, but you can at least bring it down to a certain understanding that man and woman can understand, that it can guide them to spiral up, to be connected divinely to the infinite, because numbers help to recharge your intuitive abilities. That's why I said it in the front of my book. It says numerology uses numbers as a key to human behavior, an easy learned method that exercises the mind's intuitive faculty. That's what I say in the front of the book. It's here to exercise, because it's just like, what if all of a sudden you see 444 111 222? I tell people criminals see 444 111 222 also.
All right.
Now, whether you use it for good or bad, that's up to you. That's why I don't call them angel numbers.
Right.
Only I call them angle numbers. It depends on what angle you're going to take for the angels to work.
And what kind of angel is going to work?
Because you got in the Quran, you got the jinn and you got the good angels. So you got the bad, you got the good, bad and good. And some of the bad so-called jinn has helped man along the way. According to their scriptures. And I've read them scriptures. I've read the tabernacles. I've read, they there. It's telling you in history. So in metaphysic history is telling you. So angle and angels an angel is the same word, just mixed up. Like Santa and Satan, God and dog. Are you going to be the God, or are you going to go down to the dog level? That's why people call themselves bitches and call hoes, and excuse my language. You know, these are languages that we're throwing at each other. I told somebody the other day about karma. A lot of people like to identify karma as something negative. And I said, no, karma means cause and effect. Karma could be a biatch or it could be a beauty queen. Which one you want from it? What you want from it? So if you put out the good cause, you want to get the good effect. If you put out the bad cause, you're going to get the bad. It might take a day. It might take a week. It might take a whole 10 years. It might come up in your generation. But karma gonna come. If you put out the good, it's gonna come. Don't hit the, what goes around, they said, come right back around and smack you in your face. I remember robbing somebody, following my friends back in the day in Brooklyn, back in the Queens. We robbed somebody. I was a running man that just snatched and they pulled out the gun. The next 2 weeks after I robbed that lady, my mother got robbed. But my life path is a number 8. That 8 energy is like a karmic energy. What goes around, like the infinity symbol, comes back around. So my life path is an 8. So that's why I'm very careful about what I do. And I've always been that since I've experienced what happened with my mother. And when I analyzed it, I said, wow, now I see. And if you started analyzing your different aspects of life and what pivotal moments of your life connected to your numbers, your birthday, your name, you'll find what it is. You'll find the patterns keep on showing up in your life every moment of the time, even when it comes to loss or gain of relationships. Somebody dying, you have, or you have a baby, somebody having a baby in your family. All of that shows up in the patterns all the time, all the time.
And this is knowledge that is free for whoever will going to put in the due diligence to do the work, like King Simon has done.
It's ancient. It goes back even further than your Bible and your Quran. It goes way back. This stuff goes way. And I mean, in the Bible, they got a book of numbers, but most of them never even read the book of numbers.
Right.
In the Quran, they say over it is 19, but nobody even understand what over it is 19. That guy got killed for teaching about the number 19 back in the day, Rashidi. He got killed. So we got to
remember I used to read the final call. Mother Tinetta always had
Mama Tinetta, yes.
The mystery of the number 19.
Exactly.
So speaking of books, King Simon, you're an accomplished author. You know,
yes, sir.
Let's share with the family how they can get in touch with your books. Of course, we can't mention price, but please let us know how they can get in touch with that work.
I'm gonna. Can you share my link tree in the chat?
I will in the chat. Sure, yeah, I will in the chat. But just for the folks listening online and all that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna send it to you in the private chat right now, so you can probably copy and paste if you want. Link tree / King Simon, the numeral Veda.
Okay.
Linktree. Let me do Linktree / King Simon, the numeral Veda. King Simon, the numeral Veda. You can get to all my links, all my events that's coming up. I got an event with Professor James Smalls coming to Atlanta for 2 days. That's going to be big. Already things are moving. Everything is moving. King Simon, the numeral Veda. I'm going to put it right there. Numeral Veda at Linktree. So Linktree. So it's very important that we continue. All my books is on there. All my YouTube channels. I have a Healing Vibes show tonight with Carrie Ann Ingram. That's going to be big tonight. That's going to be fun. Her and I are going to talk about what we're expecting to do for this Melanated History Month that they call Dub Black History Month. And she found her grandfather just transitioned in Jamaica, and she lives in Toronto. And she found the Negro book in her grandfather's thing, and that's a powerful book of where the Negroes needed to meet up at, and where hotels was allowed to go, which beaches you were allowed to go, and all that. It's a whole book on this stuff.
Well, that sounds like the Green Book from this.
It's like
this Turtle Island. This
exactly. It's like yes. Okay. It has a similar that. So she found that in Jamaica, going to his home going. So that was a power. So we're gonna talk, and I have a lot of great people coming up. I just had Dr. Phil Valentine. He tore the place up. Man, he ripped the place up just recently, and I got a few other people. I had Paul Campbell recently, tore the place up. Big up to Paul Campbell, the actor who's into spirituality more now than ever.
True.
So the walk on, live, talk on, ain't no easy. But that's but his art is working, and I love that he's doing art, and he's born under that number that deals with artistry and speaking and acting. He's born on the 21st, so I understand what he's supposed to do. Just like you're born on the 27th, I understand your connection with the humanitarian and service and all that, and being into what you do. And of course, being under that zodiac sign that you are, that's the earth, that you're dealing with the earth and all that. Very important.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So that's, so I'm glad to have been here, man. It was fun. I had
before I let you go, Kyle, I want to respect the time, and I know you got to step out.
Yeah.
Just give us a brief synopsis of what this Gregorian year 2024 means, numerologically speaking.
People just remember, I look at things from a holistic perspective. So I don't just, you'll see a lot of numerologists just put 20, 24, which equals an 8, and that's it. But because I look at it from a holistic perspective, I look at the 20, I look at the 24, I look at the 20 plus 24, which equals 44. I look at it all because you're getting a full gamut of what goes on, and what's the vibration of the particular year that, if you use it wisely, can be very helpful.
As you were saying, the various angles.
Various angles, right? So 4 and 4 is always disciplinary numbers, maintaining mental discipline, spiritual discipline, and 44 in certain systems of numerology represents trusting the universe itself, trusting the universe not just outside of you, but inside of you, paying attention to your ancient insight and ancient intuition, because the number 8 and the number 44 are ancient vibratory energies that could connect you to your ancestors in such a year. This is also a good year to tap into your ancestry, whether you want to go to AfricanAncestry.com and learn more about your bloodline, or whether you want to go talk to your grandparents or your aunts that can give you some good information. And because 20 deals with the awakening energy, awakening and discernment is the number of 20, and then 24 deals with the healing aspects, the compassionate aspect, the building aspect of your spiritual connection to your ancestors and all the things that came from your past that either is going to come back to haunt you or heal you. One or the other. That's what the whole year is a theme of. Are you going to go through it every day? Not every day, but you'll always recognize what pops up at different intervals of the year, whether it's January, February, March, April, May, June. And remember, everybody has a personal year. So how you find your personal year, like I would add 2 plus 1. I'm born February 1st, plus this year. That will show you the personal year that you're in when you break it down and what it adds up to. And now you can Google it up if you want to. You want to book a session with me, because I get more deeper into it from my perspective. And I keep it simple. But you, in the simplicity of it all, that's one thing I learned. You keep it simple, keep it stupid, and keep it moving.
Talk about it. So, King Simon, for those who cannot link, because there's people be listening on the radio, just drop your phone number or email or something that where folks can get in touch with you, please.
Well, they can, like, through Linktree, they can definitely get to my phone number and all my links, definitely. And if you live outside of the United States of America, use WhatsApp or use Signal. I know people are choosing to use Signal because Signal don't have certain interruptions, like what apps is doing something where they're allowing to take their information and do all, but Signal don't do that. But they can always text me their full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 1-347-496-1022. If you're coming through WhatsApp, it's +1-347-496-1022. So I got people from Germany, I got people from Japan, I got people from China, I got people in Canada, I got people throughout the Caribbean that are my clients. Yes. So I work with a lot of different people, and wherever you come with the information, I don't care where you come from. I've studied Japanese numerology, Chinese numerology. I've studied all types of numerology. It's just what will help make you better. I could care less about all the deepness. I'm not trying to be deep. I'm trying to be a factor in your life so you can use the betterment of your numbers connected to your birthday, your name, and how you use it and navigate. So I'm not here to read you. I'm here to advise you and consult you so you can activate and maximize your numbers better.
Salute. That's King Simon, y'all. Numerovator.
The Numerovator. That's all I do.
Thanks, King Simon. This has been a blissful flyby, as you say, you know.
Yeah, a blissful flyby.
And we're looking forward to inviting you again. You know, yes. That's an open invitation because what you give is so crucial to our development. I can bear witness for myself.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for all you do, brother.
So, yeah, man, much love.
I would love to come back and come in the studio at that radio station. I miss the radio turn, you know.
Yeah, man, come on. I'm gonna have you as a guest DJ, though. You know, that's the thing.
They should have gave me a show on there because I will tear that place up.
Hey, speak it, brother. Speak it. You're talking to the farmer who deal with fertile soil. Speak it. It might happen quicker than you know. So make sure you're careful what you say.
I know. I'm something else. Because I usually speak it right into existence. Because I've been on so many major radio shows and stuff back in New York. Man. It is what it is. I still got it if I want to do it.
Bring it. We want it. We want
All right.
it. That's the brother King Simon. Much love to you, brother. And we'll tune in tonight.
Yes.
We're looking forward to continuing to support and vibe up with your great ministry, you know. So
yes, thank you
for all you do. Thank you for showing up for our people in this moment.
Thank you, and thank you for all your people out there. Remember, like he just said, showing up for the people in the moment. Remember, family, Les Brown used to say, and his birthday is coming up February 17th, the two most important days in your life is the day you were born and the day you find out why you were born.
Ooh, say it again.
Come on now, stop playing. Find out the why. And then make that why work for you moving forward. All right?
King Simon, much love, King.
Blessings. Thank you.
Family, y'all stay tuned to yourself. It's been a wonderful time reasoning with our two guests. First, our sister, Chef B, and our brother, King Simon. You know, it was just through the fact that he got a really busy schedule, we couldn't stay too much longer. However, you know, as we say sometimes, less is more. I'm sure that you have received something that is motivational to you. Remember that after winter must come spring. So we're still in the time of the gestation period. We're in the time of rest. And that's for those of us specifically living in this hemisphere and this side of the world. I was just on another side of the world where it's the other thing going on, you know. It's the dry season and the summer and all that kind of stuff. But we're talking about for those of us right here on this Turtle Island. We have a unique place in world history, in our story, and specifically, I'm not talking about world history like antiquity. I'm talking about our story, the book that we're writing right now. We have a unique place that we play in this. You know, we have a unique place that we play in this. You know, there's so much that has been said about the fact our great musical ancestor, Gil Scott Heron, said, you know, and he was just quoting from something else. The sun will rise in the west in these hours. The sun will rise in the west. What does that mean? Are you looking for the sun in the sky that's I'm looking at right now that's so-called setting in the western horizon? That's not what we're talking about. But when we look at the people, especially the people who, that's why we pay so much attention to the meek of the earth. And do remember that meek don't mean weak. Two different things. The people who have gone through all this great challenge. When you think of the diamonds that the corporate world, the capitalist world got the people fiending over, they're formed under pressure. You think of the gold, again, that people of the world are fiending over and sometimes getting in bloody conflict over. Gold is formed in the fire. That's where gold is formed in the fire. That's why it's really silly to be envious, or when you see someone shining, because you probably couldn't sit with the fire that took to create that shine. But the whole point is, though, those of us who have been through great tribulation, through the Ma'afa, you know, pressed into knowing ourselves by being separated from everything we knew other than what is within us. That's why we honor those ancestors who came to these shores and other shores, because there was ancestors also that were here before. Don't get it twisted. A lot of people we see now clowning and trying to make fun of those who say they're indigenous and you know are Native American and all that. And I understand where some of that come from, because some of that may be escapism. But however, don't get it twisted. Ivan Van Sertima, who King Simon mentioned, Ivan Van Sertima made it very clear that by the time the first colonists came to this shore, and by the time the first Africans were brought on those death ships, the majority of the people that they would have met to the east of the Mississippi were same African people who came when Mansa Musa came, and their progeny, because we don't die, we multiply. So then just the 93,000 or however the number was that came with Mansa Musa, they didn't just stay 93,000, they multiplied. The whole point is this, very simply. When we go through the troubles that we go through, those things that our society has trained us to look at as stumbling blocks are actually stepping stones. Does that mean we're glorifying suffering? We're glorifying Ma'afa? Not at all. We're glorifying the great creator, known by many names and many natures, who has designed a system that says that truly the meek shall inherit the earth, and that's what we're seeing lie before our eyes. That's why it's very important to stay tuned to stations like WRFG, because WRFG, when we say the voice of the people, that might sound cliche. It's a lot of slogans going around. And speaking of Bob Marley, one of my favorite songs by Bob Marley, I was asked about that even the other day with our brethren, Kalanji, when we were on his show, making reference to Bob Marley and reflecting on Bob Marley. And he was like, well, what are some of the Bob Marley songs? One of the songs that came to my mind is slogans. He said, can't take the slogans no more. Not because anything wrong with slogans or punchlines. I'm a musician. I'm a lyricist. However, slogans that are just empty and void of substance is a different thing. This is not the time for symbolism more than it's time for substance. So the people who have been through these great trials have a great gift for us. They teach us about ourselves. They show us ourselves in living color. They show us our potential. That's why Marcus Garvey said, you don't know yourself until the back against the wall. See, and so we give thanks for the moment. We give thanks for our guests that have joined us today. We're grateful for those of you who are worldwide. Blessings to everyone in the chat. We see y'all on Instagram and on Facebook joining us literally from all over the world. Bless up yourself. Bless up yourself. And do remember that now is the time. Really, the only time is now. Yesterday, as our elders would say, yesterday is gone and tomorrow ain't come yet. Now is the time. And within this now time is great opportunity. So, yes, spring is coming for those of us in this part of the world. And with spring comes great opportunity. So, you don't. I remember one time Pearl Academy, the students from Pearl Academy were on my radio show and they were preparing us for their annual science fair, which happens around this time every year. And they were saying, well, I was asking them, well, what would you leave the family with? And this young woman, she's now a real young woman, a college student, or may have been graduated by now. Nicole, one of our great students, she's like, well, I would just like to say that you don't plant food, you don't wait till you're hungry to plant your garden. I think a word to the wise would be sufficient. She said, don't, at that time, she was about 12 years old. She said, don't wait till you're hungry to plant your garden. Spring is coming. And so now is the time. And another factoid, maybe an analogy that would help to bring it home to you. When you look at where seeds are stored, we're talking about people who are intentionally storing seeds, whether it's these diabolical people that are attempting to control the seeds, because that's real, that's happening. We don't give them too much energy because we know the life force is predominant. The life principle is predominant. But these, whether it's them or just people who are like myself or other growers that are storing seeds in the freezer, we store them in the freezer for a simple reason, so that they can mimic what is happening now in creation in this part of the world. They can mimic naturally. They can mimic nature, really. So they can mimic the unfolding, coming out of the dark stage, coming out of the gestation, coming out of the cave, coming out of the sleep that King Simon was talking about into the light. So let's use this time to plan. Let's use this time to plan our spring and our summer. For next year, you can start even sooner with the winter solstice, the birth of the sun, the darkest, the longest night of the year, and then the sun starts to emerge. All of this is beautiful poetry, is beautiful symbolism, and I'm saying not but, and it has very practical connotation for our life. So just grow some food, family. Grow some food. Grow some food. I'm talking about food that you can ingest with your body. Grow some all kind of other food as well. Good food. But grow some food. It's not too late. You know? Those seeds, when they come out of the freezer, when we store them in the freezer and they come out, then we're putting them in the space to live out their nature. And I'm sure you know by now that anything that is given the opportunity to live out its nature will flourish. That's why they plant watermelons and squash, winter squash that run and all those things on hills where they can just do their thing and climb. I know a lot of people that plant pumpkins next to trees, and next thing you know, the pumpkin, the vine going up a tree, because that's the nature of something that has a vine, to flourish in that way, to climb and to climb and to climb and to explore. Same thing with our children. Same thing with ourselves. Let's live according to our nature and flourish in this time. This is the great time. It's a wonderful time to be alive, even though we're seeing so much of devastation. We're seeing a lot that does not make us feel good. And we're not sweeping that under the rug. We're just saying that that's part of the process. And the final story, how that narrative plays out, how the final verdict reads, is very much based on how we use this now moment. So give thanks for tuning in. Please spread the word. Let family know about the work that our two guests are doing, and tune into yourself on the radio. We're live on WRFG every Thursday from 2 to 4. One love.